Hello, good afternoon. Michael Wynn, Chief Digital Officer of Digital Ops, a division of RB Oppenheim Associates. Thanks for joining in today on the Digital Marketing Podcast and Video, where we talk about digital marketing strategies to help grow your business. Super pumped and excited today to have joining me on the podcast video, Megan Glasgow from Hoy Stark Hagan Architects, based in Tallahassee, Florida. Welcome to the show, Megan. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, it's interesting how you and I connected. We've talked a lot on the show about LinkedIn. The organic traffic there has really got some traction. I know I reached out to you because I like to connect with marketing people from all over different industries. I'm fascinated with the nuances of what happens in your industry. And, I think for our guest, today's topic is digital marketing challenges for the architectural industry in 2019 and 2020. And before the show, I asked you what are some of the challenges. And I think one of the things that you started with was it's really frowned upon in your industry to place advertising. And I think that's really interesting, but you guys are kind of breaking the mold with what you guys are doing in social. So tell us a little bit about how you got started in the digital space, what the progression was.
Sure. So I joined Hoy Stark Hagan Architects 5 years ago in 2014. And when I was interviewed, they said, "What do you know about us?" And I said, "Not much. You don't have a website. You don't have social media." It was hard to know just based off of my own research what they were about. So when I came on board as their marketing coordinator and business developer, the first thing we did, which they were already doing in the background, was get their website online. And from there, we included a Facebook account, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, a house account. If it's available online and it's applicable to us, we have it.
That's great. That's great to hear you say that. So, I think one of the things that businesses really struggle with is, okay, what kind of content am I going to put out, where, the trends tell you that you either need to be educational or entertaining when it comes to content to help engage your audience or sort of drive brand awareness in a authentic and unique way. And you were sharing with me kind of a really neat way that you guys have approached that. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing on Instagram right now.
Yeah, well, everyone in this firm, it's important that they know our story. So when they're out in the community, when they're on their own social media account, they're able to kind of represent us, and we trust them that they can do that well. For us, it was kind of just understanding the people that I work with every day, knowing their strengths, their hobbies, their passions. Architects really love Legos, and during a Christmas gift swap, someone got what's called the Lego Architecture Studio box, which is hundreds of pieces of just plain white Legos. One of the coworkers built something, and I said, "That can go on Instagram." So we started, so we, as a marketing person, I always look for that angle. So we started a campaign called Make It Monday, and every week we show something. It can be as big or as small, as simple or as complex as one of the employees wants to make it. And it's something that we also, we tag Lego in, we make our hashtags for it, of course, just so it's trending, and then have, all of our followers see consistent weekly update of that campaign.
That's fantastic. And you said that you actually were contacted by Lego at one point. You've been doing this for a couple of years now, right?
Yeah, we've been doing it for 2 years this month. We started 2 conventions ago, is how I remember. And with that kind of, I think, consistency, people in our community, when they hear about us, they're like, "Oh yeah, you're the Lego Architects." And Lego themselves came out to us and contacted us and said, "We love this specific design, we want to feature it on our own Instagram. So that was really cool to just kind of be recognized in the Lego community, which is very complicated and full of people. I did not even realize how big that was until we kind of delved into it.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's, in any sort of niche area, you have this sort of subculture, that you find. And I could only imagine in the Lego world that the subculture is quite strong, especially with a toy and a brand, of that nature. And that is so cool. I could definitely see you guys, elevating that and really, I mean, I could see a whole video series about, talking about how you thought strategically and, using, these sort of faux architectural terms, if you will, make it like totally make fun of all of the things in the architecture world that, that should be made fun of. I could totally see you guys doing that on a YouTube show, and I bet you guys would be a huge hit.
Yeah, that's definitely something I need to consider. One of the big projects that we're doing right now, one of our real projects is renovating and doing the Capitol grounds at the Tallahassee Capitol. So what our architects have done is built a 2-scale model in Legos of
nice.
Original Capitol and the new Capitol, and we're currently building the plaza that will what we will be doing also in real life. So it's a way to kind of just merge the two together and kind of always have that connection of building with real brick and mortar and also with something that we love and that's just fun and engaging for everyone. We have kids who come through our office and they see this big building that they can recognize in their own hometown, and it's accessible. It's something that they think they can do too. We keep Legos in our front lobby so people can come and create as much as we do. That's
fantastic. The other thing that it makes me think of, and again, you mentioned this before we got on the show, is that what this type of content and a presence on social in an industry that sort of looks down upon, think about it. If you were to say to someone in your industry 20 years ago, hey, guys, 20 years from now, we're going to create and produce content that's going to then be published for anyone to see, they would have said, oh, you're advertising. And so, again, just a huge kudos to you guys for going against the grain, smashing the status quo, and getting out there, doing it in a creative way. But I can't help but to think that not only is it bringing around brand awareness for your company to show, a funny side of a very serious industry, but also it must play a role in recruiting. Tell me about how you think architectural firms and the industry, how they might benefit from or think about social and digital when it comes to building a team for 2020 in the future.
Yeah, certainly. You're right. I think 20 years ago, architects would have just scoffed at the idea of doing something as engaging as we do. This is a relationship type of industry, and it still is, certainly. It's just we are now being forced to have those relationships online in addition to our day-to-day relationships with people in the community. A Facebook post is going to get likes and people might recognize us, in the long run. But is it going to have someone call us up and say, I want you to build our next $2 million house? I don't bet on that. I would love that. If you want a $2 million house built, please call me. However, until then, we have to know that more than just potential clients are looking at our website, at our social media accounts. There are people who are looking to move to Tallahassee, looking to move firms. We like to pride ourselves in that we are a different type of firm, a different type of firm culture. And so in order to do that, we like to show that in our social media. We like to spotlight our coworkers, our employees. We also like to show the things that we do together, whether it's a 29-mile bike ride or going to a convention together, just to kind of show the fun side of us. I turned the music off today for this podcast, but we blare music all day, every day. We kind of want to make sure that it's something that they think that they would fit here and that they'd want to be here. So we consider our social media presence as a way for potential employees to kind of get a feel for us before they even, call us up.
That's fantastic. What do you guys have Pandora? What kind of music you guys listen to?
We listen to almost everything. I am the resident DJ for the most part. What the mood is for the day. We listen to what I call dad rock, which is a lot of Bruce Springsteen, Pink Floyd, Rolling Stones.
Nice.
We also have our Motown days. Today's Friday, so we listen to a lot of all happy. Yeah, exactly. That kind of music.
Nice. Love it.
And when someone new comes in, I always say, what kind of music do you listen to? Because we want to throw in things that they also would enjoy listening to. We don't want anyone to have to wear headphones all day because they can't stand what's.
Wow. I love that. And I think, so you guys have already broken the mold. You're out there and you're, just blazing new trails, frontiers in the digital space. I think another challenging area, and it's not regulated to just architecture, architectural firms. I mean, we see this in, large, oil and gas industries. We see it in large tech industries. We see it in healthcare industries. Is how do you handle personal branding within a corporate culture? Because as we've, kind of talked about, we've got this group of millennials who are, kind of coming up in corporate America, who are going to take, decision making and management leadership type roles. I know you mentioned to me in one thing that you guys are doing blogs, but tell me about some of the other things where you've mentioned, people being featured in other publications. And how that's part of sort of your culture.
Sure. So yes, we do. We have hired millennials, and they work within us. And I think this generation, they are doing their own personal brand within their own lives. They're using Instagram and Facebook, Snapchat, and all of those ways to kind of show the way they view the world. So when they come into the office, I don't think they see it any differently. Working with architects, they all have a very specific way that they like to design, and it's not necessarily all the same, even within our own firm. So I think it's important to be able to kind of spotlight those differences and actually kind of cherish them and show. We like to say that we're a gumbo, and every time someone new comes in, it kind of changes the recipe. So we do what's called design charrettes every November, we have everyone create their own version of our annual Christmas card. And as the marketing person, I put every single one of those designs up online so everyone can kind of see just the different ways that we design, the way that we kind of approach things. And I think for an employee basis, they get a sense of that their opinion matters, their designs matter, but we're still a team. We still kind of bring it back, and every year, someone different gets to be on the Christmas card, and we vote on it. So it's but just kind of showcasing those differences and embracing them, I think, is really important. But also still just really pushing that firm environment and culture one of our BIM managers, which is, he had a interview with one of our big software programs, and they put it on a blog, and so we shared that with everyone. We wanted to support that employee and congratulate him. So we like to celebrate those milestones, certainly, but also still kind of bring it back and keep it within the company. That it's a celebration for us as well as a whole.
That's very cool. I think another thing that you guys are doing really well is, again, you talk quite a bit about the brand, and how you're sort of a collective identity, Hoy Stark Hagan. And I think that's really important because as we sort of transition and have already begun when it comes to voice and voice activation in different smart speakers and things like that are at home, I feel like we're going to be dealing with, right now, Google is the gatekeeper of information, right? So when I type in, architectural firm Tallahassee, whoever's paying is going to have that top slot, and then there's the map section, and then there's SEO. I know you shared before that you guys were doing your own blogs and working on SEO, which is great. But I think we're going to have that same kind of experience in search, where if I say, hey, Amazon, I'm not saying the other name because I've got one sitting next to me, so I don't want her to chime in and start trying to take over the podcast. So, hey, Amazon, what is an architectural firm near me, or something to that nature? And the big brands are going to do what's happening now already in search, that Amazon is going to be the gatekeeper, and they're going to sell that, what the response is, if I just sort of say that generic version, right? But if companies like yours, who are paying attention and who are actively and aggressively posting on social and raising brand awareness, this conversation is what's going to happen. Hey, Amazon, what's the phone number to Hoy Stark Hagan Architecture?
Right. Yep.
So I think that's the piece that a lot of people don't understand. I'm so glad you joined the podcast. I do believe that podcast is the foundational sort of media for voice as we continue to move forward, because it's very passive in that, you can listen to it while you're working, you can listen to it while you're jogging, while you're mowing the grass, while you're just laying in bed, going to sleep. I mean, the applications, I think, are so phenomenal. And then, of course, if you're commuting, it's hands-free, it's distractions-free. You're not having to watch it. So do you think this will be your first and last podcast? Are you guys looking to start a podcast in 2020? What are your goals, seriously, for 2020?
So we have a lot of conversations about marketing within our company. It's important. It's something that we're always trying to refine and also just kind of stay ahead, because, like I said, when we started, we just kind of hit the ground running with our website and our social media accounts, constantly tweaking, trying to figure out what we can do. Data is your friend. It is the backbone of what I do to kind of see where I'm going and where we can go. I have not pushed podcasts on them yet, but personally, as someone in marketing, that is the future. Smart devices are the future. We have 3 Amazon pieces in our home, and they are used daily. And so I think that's definitely the way that it's going. I wouldn't say we're first generation users, but we definitely are kind of, keeping up with that kind of thing. And I think many other households are following. Podcasts, I personally listen to a ton, way too many true crime podcasts. I will find some others. But yeah, the podcast users have tripled every year for the past 3 years. So you see that it's a market that's just continuously growing and gaining more followers. So I think that is something that is definitely worth it. I have definitely looked into seeing what kind of architecture firms already are on podcasts, and I follow a few already.
Nice.
Because, you know, if you're going to start something like that, you also need to know what your competition is. So in any kind of industry or company, if they're thinking about that, see what's already out there, see what you can do differently to give a user a different experience.
That's fantastic. Megan, I got to tell you, this has been a ton of fun talking with you and hearing about, I love the fact that you guys are just like, you know, this beacon of like, we are out there and we are going against the status quo. I love that. I'm so glad you joined the show. Again, for the listeners and watchers of the video podcast series, my name is Michael Wynn. I am the Chief Digital Officer of Digital Ops, division of RB Oppenheim Associates. Megan, thanks for joining the show. I hope you'll continue to tune in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you. Have a great day. We'll talk soon.